Good afternoon. I'm Wade Fox. I'm the special host of this edition of Second Opinion. I'm going to be interviewing Miss TThe Lynch. TThe is running for the Republican State Committeewoman out of a new district here in Massachusetts. TThe, welcome.
Hi, Wade. How are you?
Fine.
Thanks for interviewing me.
Thank you for coming in. Let's start off with something. You're an incumbent, correctly?
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about what the Republican State Committee does?
Sure.
And how it functions within this state?
You know, it's a very good question. A lot of people do not know what the Republican State Committee is about. So I'm glad you asked the question. The Republican State Committee is the governing body for the Republican Party. And as such, we approve the budget for the Republican Party in the state. We are out there as representatives of the Republicans in our districts. We are trying to recruit, elect, and even train candidates to run for office. We are there at meetings to voice the Republican opinion and to back the Republican platform. We are there to sometimes put resolutions forward and to stand for the platform and basically stand up for everything that matters to Republicans.
So, TThe, how does the committee work with the elected Republicans in the legislature? Is there an interface there, or do they listen to you, or are you basically just a support system for them?
That's a good question. Basically, we need to, number one, find these candidates, help find them. And the party can, if they're endorsed, can provide money to these candidates. And that's why we have conventions where we can endorse our candidates. We are there to guide and help these candidates. We are there to help them with their talking points, try to help build their volunteer base. Whatever we can do, the party is there for the candidates, and they should be. That's pretty much the purpose of having a Republican Party, and also to safeguard the elections. We need to make sure that all the elections are done properly.
Now, TThe, as I understand, since my last visit here, the district has shifted.
It has.
Why did the district shift, and what was there before, and what's there now?
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. The district has been what some people call gerrymandered. Depending on how the legislature wants to see the district's boundaries. And my current district is the 1st Middlesex district, which includes its 6 towns and cities. So we have Tingsboro, Lowell, Westford, Groton, Dunstable, and Pepperell. So that's what we have now. The new district is going to keep Westford and Groton, but it's going to add 8 more. That includes Ashby, Townsend, Fitchburg, Leominster, Lancaster, Lunenburg, Shirley, and Clinton. So I have 8 new towns or cities to represent.
But that means you lose Lowell and
I lose all the others. Someone else will get them. But you know, I've enjoyed working with them, and I'm going to help them too as much as I can. But that's what happened. I don't know all the reasons why they changed the district boundaries. I think some of it has to do with population and making sure that the districts are fairly represented with the population. Sometimes it's for political reasons, and that's why I use the term gerrymandered. I do know this, and some people have said this, that I and my counterpart, Dennis Galvin, have been very effective in what we've been doing here. And some people have claimed that they wanted to break that up so it would be more difficult for us to run in the new district. So that's up to the viewer to decide. But
since you've been out in your new district, do you see it being a lot different than the old district? The only reason why I'm asking is that you have like Lowell, you've got some fairly big cities in there, and as you move west, you really don't have big cities. Do you see the difference in the people?
Leominster's pretty big and Fitchburg's pretty big, but it is more spread out. So the district is so much so much more to travel to. I'm way down in Lancaster and Clinton sometimes, whereas now it's close, kind of around Westford where I live. It's close, but now we have to kind of go west where it's more spread out, more area to cover, and even more towns to add to it. But it tends to be a little bit more conservative that way, so I'm happy about that.
Okay. Looking back, and you, how many times have you been elected?
So this is my first term, and I'm running for the second term.
Okay. Could you, what do you think you've accomplished, either personally or as the group, in the last term?
Well,
highest accomplishment.
Thanks for asking. Well, so while I've been on the Republican State Committee, I've been on a number of committees, subcommittees. One is the Public Relations, another is the Issues Committee, where we put together lots of issues to help the candidates so that they can speak well about the issues. I'm also, or was the chair of the Election Review Committee, and that's a committee that I asked to be formed because of the 2020 election. There were lots of questions about the security of that election, if it was fair or not, and I said, it's time that we take a close look at the elections. And so I approached the chair and said, we need an election integrity committee. And he said, okay, well, do you want to chair it? I said, no, I'm new to the committee, so you could get someone else that's been there a while. And then nothing happened for a little bit, and I went back to him and I said, we still need that election integrity committee. And so he said, all right, do you want to chair it? I said, okay, I'll chair it. And I know how to run a meeting. There may be some things I need to learn, but I'll go ahead and share it. So that's where I spent a lot of my time this past 4 years, looking at the elections, looking at the laws, looking at the distribution of Republicans and Democrats in elections, and we created this manual here, the Republican Town City Ward Committee Manual. And in this manual, it talks about how to build the Republican Party in the town committees, and also to make sure that you have fair representation in elections. And that means like election officers, it means poll watchers, and there's a manual for the poll watchers right here that I also contributed to as a chair, to make sure that we have the Republican registrars, because the law allows for a fair election where you have equal representation of both parties. So it was an amazing process. I learned a lot. We had some really good people on there who knew what they were talking about. We had some registrars that participated on the committee. We had a guy, I'm going to do a shout out for Joe Fleming, who was just really knowledgeable about election laws. Really appreciated his contributions, and he contributed quite a lot. And together we just learned a lot, and I just think we made a difference. We stood against the Votes Act, which was coming in the legislature, that would increase or continue the mail voting and the drop boxes that are not attended, and the machine counting, and all these things that make it, frankly, easier to cheat. And I'm not going to say that there was cheating everywhere and that every town clerk is not good and that every Democrat is bad. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that we need an open, honest, transparent election that we can verify the results. Because Republicans, they'll take a loss as long as they know it's a true loss. And so that shows the importance of doing that. Now, other achievements. So I went to the state committee and proposed 5 resolutions. One was for voter identification, because when you're doing something as important as voting for someone, you want to make sure that the person who's voting is the person they say they are. And we have identification for so many other things that we have to show, that it just only makes sense to have voter identification for elections. I also put a resolution to stop the mail voting, because what we have or have had is absentee ballots, and that's absentee voting. That's fine. You have military overseas, you have people who are disabled, they can't get in to vote. But to open this massive mail voting system, Wade, is just, it opens up the opportunity for multiple ballots to be sent out, and we discovered this in 2020. People were getting more than one ballot. Dead people were getting ballots. There was some real trouble with that mail voting. So that was another resolution to push back on that. 3 more resolutions. This was about the health freedom, and that is that masks should be optional. They should not be mandated. Some people do not do well with masks on their face. It impedes the oxygen flow and so forth. So there's lots of reasons why you don't want to force people to wear masks. And you know, Wade, I would see people driving in their car alone wearing masks. At one point, they were asking us to walk outside in fresh air wearing a mask. I mean, and then they were asking to put masks on young children who need to see faces to develop their communication skills. They need to see emotions and all that. And it delayed their development. So that was one thing I said, we need to make it optional. Another thing was ending the shutdown. The shutdown was very devastating to our state and nationally. A lot of the businesses shut down. They never reopened. We had churches that the attendance was much less because of it, afterwards, that is. And people needed to pray during this oppressive period, and they weren't able to. And then you had schools that were closed, and children were at home, you know, doing the studying. I mean, just hold on, I'm almost done. Too many accomplishments, right? It's going to take the whole time.
No, I'm writing them down.
You're writing notes. So we had that that to end the shutdown. It went way beyond what our law said they can do. You can shut down for an emergency, but you don't want to extend it beyond what the legislature allows. Okay. And then the final resolution that I put forward was to prevent a vaccine passport. It used to be, Wade, that no one asked each other, hey, have you been vaccinated? You know, and it used to be a private matter. Now all of a sudden, it's a public matter, and everyone has to know who's vaccinated or not, and that's someone's health. It's almost like a HIPAA violation, and so we pushed back on that. Mayor Wu brought that in to the city of Boston for a little bit, and the outcry was pretty big, pretty enormous. And then a lawsuit was slapped on, and it ended very quickly. We don't want to go in that direction, and you know, I supported those resolutions, brought them forward, and they all passed. So I'm very pleased with the Republican Party that we have an opposing view to our opposition.
Okay. You know, given that, Kathy, thank you. I appreciate that.
And there's more, but we'll stop. We'll let you get to the next question.
No, one of the questions is that some people may be asking out there is you do have an opponent.
Yes.
Given that this is all in the Republican Party, everybody that's running is a Republican,
correct,
right? So the question is, where do you think you're different than the other Republican woman? Mm-hmm. Correct me right. It's a female position. How are you different? Why should people be able to look at this and say, well, I want to make a decision? How are you different? Right.
Well, you know, a lot of people are very happy with the work I've done, and they're surprised that someone was put against me because I've been very effective. But I think that's why someone's been put against me, because I've been effective. And I want to take a kind of broad span here. You have the Democrat Party, and then you have the Republican Party, and then you have infiltrators to the Republican Party, and we call those rhinos. They're not really Republican. They're Republican in name only. And I'm not going to say, I mean, well, let me just say that when you have a real Republican, there's going to be opposition. And I'm a real Republican. I follow the platform. I believe in the platform. But they're putting someone against a real Republican right now. And you have to ask why, right? So that's the first thing. But let me say a little bit and explain further. I stand for the Republican platform. That's my job as a Republican representative in Massachusetts. Ideologically, we are different, and I'll give you 2 examples. One is the Republican Party is a pro-life party. My opponent is on record for supporting Roe versus Wade. So she does not stand for life. She does not respect the life for the party. Number 2, the Republican Party stands for the Second Amendment. It's our Constitution. My opponent was for the red flag gun confiscation law. I was not, never was. I ran for state representative in 2018, and I was against it then, and I have high ratings, top ratings, by NRA and Goal and the local Westford Pro 2A. So I'm very much for the Second Amendment and our Constitution. That's 2 ideological differences between us, and I think the party, the person who's selected should represent the party platform. So that's major. But there's something even more important, and that is that the Republican State Committee woman needs to be out in the district building Republican town committees and city committees, supporting those, and helping guide them with the Republican message. I've been out there. I've been out there for 4 years working very hard, doing lots of things. Visibility on issues and for candidates, recruiting candidates, supporting them, holding signs for them on Election Day, getting out there, guiding them in the whole process. And many of them have gotten into office. Whether it's municipal, state, or national, they've gotten into office. So let me just, I'm almost done, and then you could say, so my opponent lives in Groton, and she has not been to her own Republican Town Committee in over 3 years. That's big, because if she's a party representative, she needs to be present. The chair of the party has endorsed me, and the Republican Town Committee in Groton just last night endorsed me unanimously in a very large meeting. It shows that they know me, they respect me, and they believe I will do a good job. My opponent has been missing in action. Even now, while we're in the new district, I've moved in, I've met the people there. They know me, they're endorsing me. They said they've tried to reach out to her. She hasn't gotten back to them. She hasn't made an effort to reach out to them to the same level that I have. They haven't seen her. They don't know who she is. So it's very important that the Republican State Committee person be present, go to the meetings, and guide and support their town committees. And I believe I can do it, and I believe that she hasn't shown that even when she's had the opportunity and she's been invited to do so.
Okay. Kathy, in the next, after this election, what do you think would be the top 1 or 2 goals that you think you and the state committee should be trying to achieve?
So there's always room for improvement in everything, but one of the things I think is very important is communication. What the Republican Party needs to do, and that I've been working very hard on, is communicating with the Republicans in the district. I have a newsletter I put a lot of time and effort into. A lot of people read it, and it's a way of communicating, because as you know, Wade, a lot of the Democrats own the media, like the Boston Globe and CNN or whatever. So they're paid to support the Democrat cause. So Republicans need to come out, and they need to get their message out. We need to be citizen journalists. That's one of the goals that I have, is to increase that. A way to do that is ballot initiatives. And when we had ballot initiatives that I was very active on, we were able to establish networks. Who are the activists? Who are going to get those signatures? How are the town committees operating? Were they doing well? Were they communicating with each other? So that's really, really important to do. And that's what I would like to bring. I'd like to get more citizen journalists that bring out the truth. I'm not talking about lies and disinformation like the other side likes to say. I'm talking about truth that's not being represented for the Republican Party by the Democrat media. Okay. So that's one of my big goals, and doing that, we will increase Republican representation.
Okay, well, good. And so when is the election?
It's March 5th, And if you can't make it there, go ahead and get a mail ballot, absentee ballot, and get that in, because you want your voice to be accounted for.
So, Kathy, we've got about 5 or 6 weeks before this. If people want to contact you, help with the campaign or something, is there a email address?
Yeah, so it's pretty simple. It's votekathlynch.com. That's my website, and you can contact me through that, or you could email kathy.lynch@me.com, and that's the best way to contact me. I have information on how to contact me all there.
Okay.
But you'll learn more about me there. And I'm always looking for volunteers and places to hold my sign, on Election Day or on your lawn, to get the visibility out there so I can continue doing the work I started.
Okay. Well, Kathy, thank you so much. Do you have any final words before we close this out?
So Wade, first of all, thank you very much for having me and interviewing me today, and thank you for WestfordCAT for providing this venue for this. I've been working in the district for 4 years. I feel like I've done a good job. The people recognize that, and I think they're going to stand for me again for what I do, and that's for the Republican values. And you can count on me to stand for the Constitution, to stand for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You can count on me to be out there helping candidates and helping the causes that matter to us. And I've been very appreciative of the current district I'm in. They're terrific people. They're doing the work out there. I've helped to grow them. They're thriving now. Some of them were defunct beforehand when I got on board. Now they're thriving. I want to keep that going. Just terrific people, and I will continue helping them. And then in the new district, I do want to continue the work I started there too. I already launched the Shirley RTC and helped already to get out there and guide them on what we need to do as a party. And those people are terrific as well. I just think they're fabulous. They're good at what they do. I want to keep doing that for the people. And it's been just a real honor to be a Republican State Committee woman. And I just want to thank the Republicans who get out there, who are not afraid. A lot of the state is unenrolled. They're not even a Republican or Democrat. Most of the state is unenrolled, and I want Republicans to feel loud and proud that they're Republican, and not feel afraid to come out because they're afraid of retribution because they said they're Republican. That's a problem, right? We want free speech. We want people to feel comfortable. They're not going to be bullied, and they're not going to be harmed at their work, or their kids won't be retaliated against in school, because that's a lot of what I hear out there. And but we want people to feel proud, and we want it to be a good, safe election, a safe country. We want a good, fair election. We got the 2024 presidential decision to make, and there will be a lot of activity out there. I'd like to continue the work I do, being out there and helping the candidates, and I hope that people will vote for me on March 5th. And if they can't make it March 5th, do a mail ballot or absentee ballot and get that vote in. And that's my final thoughts. I just want to thank you as well.
Okay, Kathy, thank you so much. And I just always want to close with, if you're confused, always get a second opinion. Thank you very much. Have a good day.